entire thing once again in a more comprehensive manner. And you please ask question whatever you are not understanding at this stage. So we were planning to really model a situation which is like, see, my slides are visible, right? Can somebody confirm?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So you have a surface which is like this, right? And on the surface, there is some incoming ray coming. And that incoming ray is coming in a radiative mode. What I am assuming that the bounding medium, whatever is there, say suppose there is air, that air is not, you know, the whatever is the bounding medium at this particular place. Whatever is the bounding medium at that particular place. Just wait. So whatever is the bounding medium at this particular place, that is not absorbing any of the energies of this radiation. So this ray is coming from where? This might be reflected by somebody or emitted by somebody. That I'm not worried. I'm saying that this G is my irradiation. Okay, and that irradiation, when it is coming and incident on this surface, I'm assuming that a part is absorbed. And whatever is the part that is absorbed, that is emitted, assuming this to be a black body. Okay, just don't get confused by these non-black bodies at this stage, because this is the first stage of model, and then we will change it to the non-black bodies. Okay, so G is the irradiation that is coming in, right? A part is getting absorbed, and then the emission is associated with the part that is getting emitted, absorption to emission. Okay. Now we also know that a part may get also reflected, right? So that is rho into G, where rho is the reflectance of the medium, reflectance of this particular surface. Okay. So essentially, for a non-black body, what do I expect? For a black body, pure black body, what do I expect? That, you know, whatever is irradiated, it is absorbed here. Whereas for a non-black body, what I expect that it may have a black body-like emission, whatever is absorbed, and a part will be reflected. So this is more realistic in terms of surfaces. Do you have any confusion in this direction, in this regard, at this stage? Is it well understood?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah. Now, so in that, we are defining two parameters. One is called irradiation. Irradiation is the incident ray, and J is the radiosity, which we are defining as. So radiosity is what? Radiosity is what is emitted by the surface and reflected by the surface. This is where we are bringing in the first concept of the real surfaces. Okay. But here, one assumption I still have, that this particular surface is behaving like a black body, just for the simplification of the calculations. Later, you will see that this will take many different forms based on the many different types of surfaces. Okay. So the reflectance, what we are assuming here is 1 minus absorbance, whatever is reflected, whatever is absorbed. So suppose if 1 is coming in, whatever is absorbed, whatever is getting reflected. So 1 minus alpha is the reflectance, which is equivalent to 1 minus epsilon, but this is true only for a black body. And that you can replace here to 1 minus epsilon, J equal to, so you are writing J equal to epsilon into EB plus 1 minus epsilon into G. Okay. So from there you get what? So this is what is the radiosity that you get, and what is your net heat transfer Q by A? What is the heat flux? That is J minus G. Okay, what is the net heat flux here? That is J minus G. Right? What is J? J already we have derived this. G is this. If I rearrange this, Q will become EB minus J divided by 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A. Okay, now you can see that this is taking a beautiful shape. What is this? EB is what? EB is the energy of the black body. Energy of the body. J is what? J is the radiosity, what it is radiating. So whatever is the energy minus J, this is the driving force that you possess, and this 1 minus epsilon by epsilon A is the driving force, and this is the resistance. Okay, so we could also convert this equation for heat transfer, rate of heat transfer, into the driving force and the resistance. Is that clear up to this point? Is it clear up to this point? So you can see that yes, if there is a heat that is coming Q on this particular surface, right? So EB is the emissive power of that surface, right? What is the emissive power? What is the facilitating factor? The driving force is the facilitating factor. What is the resistive factor? Emissive power depends on what is the amount of ray that it has absorbed. Okay, now that will decide what is the amount of ray that it emits. So the resistive factor will be what is there in the substrates in terms of at the molecular level. What is the level of absorption that is possible? That will lead to what is the level of emission, and that will lead to the radiosity of the material. So this is what it is radiating. This is what it is. This is what it is having. This is what it is radiating, and this is the processing at the molecular level that is taking place, which is the resistance. Okay. Now, based on this, you decide the rate of heat transfer. Is it clear? Is it clear? Any doubt up to this point? If not, now see, suppose if I have a specular surface, you know there are two types of diffusions that are possible, right? You have two different ways. You know the surfaces. What are the different ways of reflection from a surface? Can anybody tell me what are the different ways of reflection from a surface?
Regular and irregular.
It is called one is called the specular, another is called the diffuse. Okay, so if it reflects at a particular point and you end up getting a shining surface, that is called the specular reflection. Okay, but then if it reflects at many different directions on a rough surface, that is called a diffuse reflection. Okay, so now if you really consider those specularity or diffusivity of the surface in terms of their reflectivity, so your reflectivity earlier we did consider the reflectivity to be entirely rho, right? So here we consider the reflectivity entirely to be rho, but there is more finer aspect to this rho. This rho will possess one is called rho S, which is the specular reflection, and then you have rho B, rho D, which is the diffuse reflection, right? Now, epsilon equal to alpha if it is black body, and that becomes 1 minus rho. Now, net heat lost is what? A into epsilon into EB minus, so 1 minus rho is what? Alpha. So you can write it to be alpha G. And then based on the diffuse radiosity, whatever is diffusing out, if you really separate out this rho S to rho D, based on the diffuse radiosity, you can write JD. J can be two different types. J can be specular, J can be diffuse. JD can be written only in terms of this rho D, right? And subsequently, a specular can be written in terms of rho S. So you can have resistances which are associated with rho S and which are also associated with rho D. Okay, so what is happening here? Let us look into this. What is happening here one by one? So here we define the diffuse radiosity JD as epsilon B and rho D into D, right? Now solving the irradiation of G, from this equation epsilon by A into rho D, this is the way I can write the diffuse the diffuse part, right? Which can also be written in a different form in terms of the the specular part. So if you really consider the specular and the diffuse radiation separately, you may end up getting another situations where this part is that same black body, and here you are talking of, you are taking care of the specular reflection part only. If you make use of this equation, then you will be considering only the diffuse radiation part of it. So the definition of this resistance that changes in terms of the total reflectivity to the specular and the diffuse radiation like this. Okay, we'll revisit this once again when we do the problems. Now you can see that again for a transmitting, this medium, say suppose I have a surface this, I have a surface this. In the middle, I have a medium which is transparent. Okay, which may be opaque, which may be transparent. So it can be a transmitting surface, right? So it can be, I can also consider this to be a transmitting, reflecting, and absorbing media. Right now, in that situation, you may see that alpha m is my absorptivity, rho md is my diffuse reflectivity, rho ms is my specular reflectivity, and tau m is my transmittivity. Now all this will together become one, right? Where my epsilon m, the emissivity, will be equal to alpha m until I consider this to be black body. Right. In this situation, if I really want to calculate the radiosity of the diffuse medium, it will come out to be like this, and from there I can calculate the Q. Right. So what am I trying to say here? You really need not memorize all these things, but what am I trying to say here? That when you are really putting the system in terms of the radiation, you have to really worry about different factors, like what is the irradiation, right? What is the absorption? What is the emission? And then what is the reflection? What is the types of reflections? And what is the transmission? If you are able to really gather all this information together, you will be able to really master the rate of heat transfer associated with radiation, right? Visiting this once again as we discuss. Now you see these are diffuse like reflectance. You have diffuse and transmitted reflectance. Diffuse and specular reflectance. You also have transmittance, which can also be specular and diffusive, right? And again, what is changing here? The thing that is changing is the resistance that is associated with at the denominator. The radiosity remains at the top. This resistance that is changing as per the transmitted rays, right? So we have to really master the art of calculating the driving force, that is J1 minus J3, and the resistance that is coming at the bottom, and we have to really convert this type of systems into certain circuit diagrams, okay, which will come with the practice. And then in each node and each boundary points, we have to really calculate what is the energy and what is the radiosity. Then we will be able to really calculate the rate of heat transfer. Just given you the whole picture of different types of complexities that you can expect, right? Now we revisit this particular problem, that suppose you have a surface A. Okay, you have a surface A, and then there is a rather surface A1, and then there is a surface which is A2, and these are the two surfaces. They can see each other. They are seeing each other. They are facing each other. Surface A1 and A2. So if I ask you what will be the net heat transfer, what will be your answer? What will be the heat exchange between these two? So what will be your answer? What are the factors that you have to really consider here? Can anybody tell me? What are the factors that you consider? Say suppose I say that what is the amount of heat that is coming 1 to 2. So what are the factors that you have to consider here? What is the net heat transfer between between the surface A and between the surface A1 and A2. Anybody has any idea? What did we study here? What did we study here? Let us start with the most simplified situation, right? So if G is the irradiation, J will be the radiosity, right? And in that J, epsilon will be the emissivity and EB will be the emissive power of the medium. So if we just keep that in mind, so how the net interchange between the two surfaces will be what? How do I define that? Anybody has any idea?
Will it depend upon radiosity and area?
See, what is this radiosity? Can anybody define? Can you define what is this J1? What is this J1?
It was defined earlier as epsilon B plus rho G.
So what this surface is emitting, right? The amount of energy that is emitted by the surface. This is number one. And what is number two? What is the amount of energy that is reflected by the surface? And it is that reflection is composed of the specular as well as the diffuse reflection. And I'm assuming that this surface is non-transmitting at this stage. Tau is equal to 0. Rho is rho S plus rho D. Rho is considered in together, correct? And then I have alpha and epsilon together is equal to, because I'm considering this to be a black body when in terms of its absorbance and emission. So these are the assumptions that I'm making step by step. So what is J1 then? Can you redefine? What is J1 then? Can you redefine? Yes, quickly, Bolo.
Sir, radiation that is leaving surface A1 per unit area
Yes.
per unit height.
Yes. That is emitted and at the same time reflected, right? So you have to have a clarity on this J1, right? So that is emitted and reflected that you are taking together, right? So this is number one. What is J2? Is the same thing for the surface A2, right? Now then, what is then J1 minus J2? J1 minus J2 is the net, okay? And say suppose when you are saying, see J is the energy flux, right? Now when I multiply with A1, that is the total area, that means the energy, and then I have to multiply F1 to Y, because they never be always like looking to each other. They may be looking at, they may not be looking at each other fully. So F12 is, if they are looking at each other, F12 is 1, Q factor is 1. But if they are not doing that, then there is a fraction that is visible to say amount of energy that is coming from here is a fraction of that. So the net heat transfer that you are trying to say in terms of radiosity is this is what is leaving this surface and reaching this. This is what is leaving this surface, and this is what is reaching from here to here, this surface. In that you develop a net here, what is at Q12, which you reshuffle with this analogy of view factors. So you get a very simple equation, Q12, which is J1 J2 divided by 1 by A1 F12, which can be represented as a very simple diagram, a circuit diagram like this, where J1 minus J2 is your driving force and 1 by A1 F12 is your 1 by A1 F12 is your what? 1 by A1 F12 is your resistance associated with the view factors, that is the resistance. Is that clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Clear? Now, somebody should explain me what is this circuit diagram. If I have a circuit diagram like this, what does it mean? See, this one you already know now. This one we have already discussed. This is clear.
Yes, sir.
Right? what are the two other terms? What is EB1 and what is EB2? So what it says that,
EB1.
yeah, please.
So EB1 may be the body, black body from which the energy is coming from.
Yes. See, in this situation, we already considered that it has emitted, right? But we did not consider who emitted, who received and who emitted. Correct? Now, if you consider those two components here, say suppose you have two parallel plates, maybe in the next slide, next slide. Say suppose I have a situation like this, that I have two parallel plates and I don't have any medium in the middle. Right. So you may see that, if you just forget about what is drawn here, you may see that this is the diagram that you have there with two parallel plates. This is the diagram, circuit diagram for when you have a medium. I am coming to that later. Right. But if I just get rid of the medium here, if it is in vacuum, if I have two parallel plates, 1 and 2 at two different temperature, so you may see that this is EB1, this is J1, this is J2, this is EB2, right? What is here? So EB1, when there is some radiation on the surface 1, it is going to emit based on its temperature certain thing, right? But there will be a resistance associated with its emissivity, similar for 2. And then you have J1, J2, once it has radiated, their resistance will be in the form of the view factor. So this is the resistance, that is the surface, the resistance with the plate 1. This is the resistance, this is the energy, the emissive power associated with the plate 1. This is the emissive power that is associated with the plate 2. This is the resistance that is associated with the plate 2. This is the resistance that is associated with the plate 1. And this is the resistance that is associated with the medium, the way it is being radiated, the resistance associated with that. Right? Now, if I really want to compose an equation of Q net, so what should I get here? What should I write here? Can anybody tell me what should I write here? Quickly prompt.
EB1 minus EB2 upon total resistance.
Total resistance I add. So you see here, I have written the same thing. Okay. And these are all like those resistance circuits we had drawn. So these J1, J2 nodes, since they are, see here, these are terminal nodes, right? So you can put up a resistance equation right there. But here, the J1, J2 in steady state, what will happen? You need not consider because they are intermediate, so you have to balance them. Whatever is coming, going. So you are considering this to be in steady state. Correct? Now, if you have EB1 and EB2, and if you consider the surfaces, these the surfaces to be the black bodies, you use Stefan-Boltzmann law, you replace them. Now you see that if you know the emissivity of the surfaces, if you calculate the view factor from the plot, if you know the temperatures of the surfaces, you are able to know what is the net radiative heat transfer between the two surfaces. Is that clear up to this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So let us go to the next set of diagrams. So this is very clear to us, correct? Now say suppose you have a circuit diagram like this. What do you expect here? So now suppose you have got, say you have got three surfaces which are looking at each other. And there is a radiative exchange, heat exchange that is going on between three surfaces. So how will it look like? Can anybody tell me? If there are three surfaces, they are radiating with each other like this, how will it look like? How the circuit diagram will look like? So you may expect, say suppose if this is 1, say suppose if this is 2, suppose if this is 3, you may expect between whatever is radiated by this, that is J1, right? Whatever is radiated by this is J2. Okay, so J2 is arriving at both 1 and 3. J1 is arriving both 1, 2 and 3, and J3 is also arriving at both 1 and 2. Okay, all these three things are arriving. Say suppose you want to really model first between J1 and J2. How will it look like? How will be your equation look like? Your circuit diagram will look like?
The first one.
This one, right?
Yes, sir.
Huh. Now I take all three individually, J2 and J3. How will it look like?
Second one.
Now the first one only, J2 and J3. See, just
yes, sir.
only
First
thing
one.
this will change, EB2, J2, J3, EB3, right?
Yes.
So I'm just considering two. If I take pairwise 3, all three will look like this, only the notations will change. Am I correct?
Yes.
Now, if you look at this circuit diagram, it is exactly like this. This is between 1 and 2, right? This is between 1 and 3. This part is between 1 and 3, right? And this part is between 2 and 3, right? Since they are working in parallel, correct? So you may see there are happening of this event. This event is happening here as well as here, leading to this circuit diagram where these are the nodes. So J3. So how do I interpret now? So EB1 is my emissive power of plate 1. And the J1 is the radiosity of the plate 1. Now this is going to what? This is going to J3 and J2 both. This is going to 2 and 3 both. So I create two paths. Correct? Now, once it is going towards that, it is also receiving J3. It is also receiving J2. So I put the view factor resistances there. So J2 is also having a resistance with 3. So I put a view factor resistance there. And simultaneously, I have the resistances that are associated with the surfaces. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, you just have to make sure that, wherever you want to calculate the resistance, you calculate the total resistance, or whichever direction you want to calculate the heat flux, you calculate the heat flux. Just assemble these equations in the form of the driving force divided by the resistance, just like it is done here. This is the simple here, right? Let us see. Let us take a situation when I have two plates, but I am now considering then there is a medium which is air in the middle. Okay, I'm just complicating the system. Earlier, when we were doing this, what was in the middle? We considered this to be vacuum. This is non-interfering medium in the middle. And that's the reason why this was true. When I consider air in the middle, what will be the change? Can anybody tell me? So suppose I put air in the middle. So what is the change here? What do I expect to happen? So, please repeat. Hello, please repeat. क्या होगा वहां पे एयर डालने से बीच में? जल्दी से बोलो, क्या हुआ? Somebody tells, if I put air in the middle, what do I expect to happen? First question is that the relationship between this and this remains to be the same as before. Correct? So you see that here the relationship, I draw the circuit diagram exactly as I did before for two parallel plates. However, this particular air will be at some temperature. So this will also have some emissive power. Correct? But this will not behave like a black body. Essentially, what you are telling that since this has certain temperature, see what I am assuming that the energy is going from to here unhindered and coming back from here to here unhindered. There is no medium that is there. Radiative, heat transfer is all medium free. But because there is a medium air, because there is a room temperature is there. Now, there is a temperature that is associated with air. What it will do, it will add to the emissivity. It will add to the emissivity of the surface, right? So it will give some energy to here. It will also give some energy to here. So how do we go about that? You see that, so here, like this one is a black body. This one has a resistance. This doesn't have. This is a kind of medium. Correct? Now, when you see this is a kind of medium, what it does, it really doesn't have a resistance associated with emissivity. But it has a kind of emissive of power EV3, which is associated with sigma T to the power 4, which is the radiosity. There is a type of radiosity that is associated with this particular medium, which is what? Which is like, because there is a temperature, it is radiating certain thing, which is also getting like, radiated in between these two plates. So that's what you are taking into account here as EV3, which is sigma T to the power 4, T3 to the power 4, which is J3. Right? So you are adding this as a J3 component here. When we had a block, we added J3 with this resistance when we had a solid medium. Whereas when we have a transparent medium, when we have a medium which is non-interfering medium but still has certain temperature, then we need to integrate it like this. So this is an additional factor that will come into picture when you have air as a medium in the middle. Is that clear? Any question you have up to this point? Any question? No? So great. So now you see that if I take two surfaces which are perpendicular to each other, and then I have the one of them I have insulated them, right? One of these surfaces has been insulated. So the one that is not insulated will behave like a regular, but the one that is insulated, since there is no conduction, so you can only expect this will also start behaving like a air medium. So you will see that the J2 will behave like a EB2. So this resistance is gone because you are not allowing it to emit. Insulated means you are basically not allowing it to emit. So it is essentially it is J2 is equal to EB2, right? And then you have the medium that is surrounding this, which is air, which is J3, which is equal to AB3. So with air also, air is able to visualize this, air is able to visualize that, air is able to visualize this, air is able to visualize that. So for that, you only have the view factor resistances there. So you complete a circuit diagram like this. So different types of geometries are possible. And you can really see, we will go through many examples, many such examples. Let us do this problem first. This will become very, very clear. It's from the book itself. So two parallel plates. Can anybody read this problem for me? Somebody reads this quickly. Hello?
Two parallel plates 0.5 by 1 meter are spaced 0.5 meter apart, as shown in figure examples.
So these are all 0.5 by 1 meter, and spacing is 0.5, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. One plate is maintained at 1000 degrees Celsius and the other at 500 degrees Celsius.
Yes. So this one is 1000. This one is 500, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. The emissivities of the plate are 0.2 and 0.5 respectively. The plates are located in a very large room, the walls of which are maintained at 27 degrees Celsius. The plate exchange heat with each other and with the room, but only the plate surfaces facing each other are to be considered in the analysis. Find the net transfer to each plate and to the room.
Correct. So you are just, say suppose you are in a winter is coming, right? So there what you do, you put a heater and the entire room becomes hot. Correct. So we are just looking for that sort of situation. These radiative plates are there. They are heated up and then they are heating your, say suppose room, which is at 27 degrees centigrade. Correct. So suppose which is supposed to be at around 5 degree, 4 degree, but you are heating it up to 27 degree. So this is the circuit diagram just now we have seen. So for a air and all, it is going to be like that. So first your job will be to convert these temperatures into Kelvin. Area is given, epsilon1 given, epsilon2 given. Correct. Now last time we calculated the view factor of a situation like this, right? In the last tutorial, what we did, here we calculated this, that based on this y by d, x by d, we went back to the table, and from there we evaluated the view factor, right? So here you will see we are using the same view factor. If the ratio remains to be the same, I am using the same view factor. So f12 is equal to 0.285 equal to f21. Now f of 13 is 1 minus f of 12. Whatever is unable to go here, it is going to go to the room. So that's the way you are calculating 13 and 23 to be 7.7, 0.715, 0.715. Now what I do, I calculate all the three resistances that are possible. So there is a resistance, there are all these resistances I calculate. So you see, I calculate all these resistances based on the area, based on the factors, view factors, and based on the emissivity that are given. So I fix all this and then I put those numbers here. So these are the resistances, right? Now, I know T1, I know T2, I know T3. So I know EB3, I know EB1, I know EB2. What I do not know J1 and J2. These two parameters I do not know. How do I evaluate? So I evaluate the network is solved by setting the sum of the heat currents entering the nodes J1 and J2 to 0. This is the trick. So sum of the heat currents, what I am assuming that whatever is coming and going here, the net heat current in J1 and J2 should be 0. Correct? So if I put that, so what is the current coming from here? You can see that EB1 minus J1, EB1 minus J1 by 8. What is coming from here? J1 minus J2 by 7. J1 minus J2 by 7. What is here? You know, it is J3 minus J1. Sorry. J3 minus J1, sorry, EB3. EB3 is equal to J3 since this resistance is not there. So EB3 minus J1 divided by this. So similarly, I can set up another algebraic equation like that. Now in these two equations, you know EB1, you know EB3, you know all the other parameters other than the J1 and J2, you know everything, right? So if you put all those expansions, all those things, you will come to know the J1, the radiosity of the surface this, J2, the radiosity of the surface this, the radiosity of the surface this, and then you know EB1, EB2, EB3. So you know most of the parameters that are needed. So what is the total heat lost by the plate 1? It is EB1 minus J1 divided by 1 minus epsilon 1 E1 A1. So this is the driving force, this is the resistance, you get this. What is the heat lost by the plate 2? It is like this. What is the total heat received by the room? That is Q3, J1 minus J3 by the view factor, J2 minus J3 by the view factor, you get the total heat in the room. Now from there, you get what is Q3 is equal to, if you add these two, so whatever heat is lost by the two plates is the heat that is received by the room, and from there you can calculate, you can really evaluate up to what type of heating is required in those two plates in order to make sure that what is the temperature that you maintain inside the room. Is it clear?
Yes.
Is it clear? You see, last day you said some confusions were there. These confusions are coming still, or it is becoming more transparent?
Sir, it's clear, sir.
It's clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you know that if you put infinite parallel surfaces, area equations will go, your equations will simplify like this. These are all different asymptotic cases, like when you put view factor to be 1, when areas are becoming equal. So those things, you know, you need not worry. And for different complex surfaces, you have different types of equations which are already available. So you need not worry about that. So you make use of these equations in order to make these calculations, right? Say suppose you have the emissivity of you want to calculate the emissivity of a cavity, right? So what is a cavity? So you have a cavity like this. So essentially, you know, up to this point we were using very simple surfaces. This is a little bit more complicated, which you can make use of analytical tools. Still you can make use of analytical tools to really model. But you know, this is a domain where you are entering, where you need either a lot of assumptions to simplify these systems, or you need to really solve them numerically, right? But the essential principles remain to be the same. That say suppose you have an orifice which is AO, and then this is the cavity. So this is the AO is the orifice and this is the cavity, correct? So opening and exchanging heat with AI. AI is the inner surface, AO is the outer surface of the orifice surface, right? So we say that we assume that FOI is equal to 1, right? That means this is able to see the entire cavity. Now AO FOI is AI FIO, but FIO is FIS. In that process, you first develop an analogy with AI FIS is equal to AO, right? And now from there, what you do? See, these two surfaces will have EBI and EBS, right? One is I and one is the surface. Inner. Also, you are expecting that this inner medium will be filled with some of the materials. Okay, it will also have the emissivity, right? And from there you write in the denominator the resistances, numerator will be the driving force, and from there you will be able to really calculate the emissivity of a cavity, right? Now these are, I am telling you, these are all very, very ad hoc, right? These are not accurate. Right now it has been done like you take a differential volume element, differential area here, you take a differential area here, you calculate the view factor using that, cos phi 1, cos phi 2 equation. And then what you do, you numerically integrate over this surface and this surface to get the total resistance in the denominator, and at the same time total, driving force at the numerator. And from there you obtain this net heat transfer, right? Is an example, like how emissivity of a cavity is calculated, and you can see the plots are given. So this you will see, like some problems we'll do in the tutorial where we'll make use of these plots in order to really calculate them. Can anybody tell me what is a radiation shield? Do you have any idea what is a radiation shield? So suppose you have a car, right? And you have parked it in a parking lot where there is no cover, and you are in a very hot place like, say, suppose Madhya Pradesh, say suppose Bhopal, and you are in a peak summer. So if you keep it on the open under sun, what happens, like the inner part of the car heats up. What will you do generally? So that your seats and all these things are not getting heated up in a car. What is the thing that you do generally? Anybody has any idea? It's a very, very interesting application of radiation. Now, one of the most important applications, because you use this particular concept in many different places. Yeah, anybody has any idea? So suppose through this, the screen of the car, through which, like you visualize everything, through which a lot of sunshine is coming. What is generally done in order to reduce the solar irradiation into the car and then heating up of the car? Of course, you can turn on the AC. But then how do you make sure that the solar irradiation is not coming into the car? What is the thing that you will be doing there?
Cover that.
Cover with what? Cover with what?
Cover with opaque partitions which are comparatively of low absorptivity and high reflectivity. High reflectivity,
right? Cover with surfaces which are opaque. Very nice, very nicely worded out. That it is an opaque surface with a very high reflectivity and low absorptivity. These are called the radiation shields. You will find the silver colored materials are used. After you park your car, you just put that on your screen, and then what it does, whatever solar light comes, it just reflects it back. It just don't allow this particular solar light to be incident on the seats, on the steering, on the car surfaces, and then get absorbed and then get heated up inside. Right. So this sort of concept is called, suppose this is the solar surface, suppose this is your car, and if you are using a shield in the middle, like which is highly reflective one, these type of things are called like the solar. This is again same concept you use as an umbrella. So if it is a highly reflective surface, then it is a then it is in a windshield in a car. Whereas an umbrella, you use a highly absorbing surface. That's why most of the umbrellas are like, either white, either you use a highly reflective surface, or you use a black surface, which is a highly absorptive surface, so that a part of the solar radiation is absorbed and then emitted back. Right? It can emit in both the directions. So under the umbrella also it gets heated up. But if it can absorb some of the solar radiation, you basically use the umbrella as a radiation shield between you and the sun. So some of the solar radiations are absorbed in this black color, right? And then you have the respite from the hot surface. Correct? So how radiation shields are modeled? Again, you can see that you are just increasing the number here. Say suppose you have EB1 is your surface 1, EB2 is your surface 2, and then when it is reflecting between each other, then you may have only J1 and J2, and from the 15 मिनट बाद आइए, 15 मिनट मेरा क्लास चल रहा है, बंद करके रखिए. So EB1 and EB2 are for the 2, and in the middle, what you are doing is whatever you are doing like this is what you are adding, to this. How is it done? Say suppose you see that QA is 1 to 3. Q by A, the heat flux is from 1 to 3. Okay, and then Q by A is from 3 to 2, and that you want to maintain as Q by A, right? So what is Q by A? You know that T1, T1 minus T1 to the power 4 minus T3 to the power 4 between these two, and then T3 to T2 to the power 4. Like this is the temperature between these two, and T3 you can take as an average between T1 and T2, right? Which you can replace here in order to get this is your total Q by A. In this situation, what you do, if you assume all the emissivities of the surfaces to be the same, then what happens? This 1 by epsilon plus 1 by epsilon minus 1, gives rise to the equation 2 by epsilon minus 1. And as many number of radiation shields you are putting in the middle, this n is the factor here. If there are n number of shields are there, the total emissivity, at the bottom goes like this. So no shield, the emissivity is this. If n number of shields are there, you have n number of emissivity. So as you are increasing in the denominator, you may see that as you are increasing the resistance, you may see that the radiation between the two surfaces are reducing. That is the concept of the radiation shield. Another interesting application is, the gas radiation. Say suppose you have two plates, and in the middle you have a gas. Okay. Now, say suppose there is a monochromatic radiation that is taking place. What do you expect to happen in this gas? Say suppose you have two plates. I draw it in a very simplified manner. That you have two plates. You have one plate like this. You have another plate like that. And in the middle, you have some gases. You have filled with, say suppose, oxygen gas, right? And then there is a radiosity of the surface, this J1, that is coming from here. So what do you expect to happen in this oxygen gas? What is going to happen here in this oxygen gas? Can you tell me? What do you expect to happen in this gas? If I really consider a kind of very thin layer within the gas, say suppose if you have two surfaces, and in the middle I am considering a very thin surface in the middle, what do you expect to happen in this particular gas if there is a kind of monochromatic radiation that is coming towards this? Anybody has any idea? Yeah, quickly bolo, jaldi se bolo. Any idea what is going to happen?
Excitation of electrons.
Yes, so there will be, and what do I say in terms of the radiation? So there will be an excitation of electrons, right? From HOMO to LUMO, right? What do I say that? In terms of radiation term, we say that there will be the absorption. This intensity of the radiation will be absorbed. Correct? So This is what, you know, a seminal contribution by the scientist Beer. Later on, you can also say that this is Lambert-Beer's law. So what he said that, you know, the change in the intensity of light of a particular wavelength, di lambda, this lambda is a particular wavelength, is equal to what? The absorption coefficient, that is a lambda. I lambda is the intensity that is incident, and dx, that is the thickness. So these are the factors, right? So the change in the intensity is proportional to the intensity into the thickness with the absorption coefficient, right? Now you want to know what is the total change across this length. So what it does, you integrate over to a particular lambda, Say suppose lambda, you know, in this particular place, say suppose x equal to 0. So the lambda here at x equal to 0 to lambda here, say suppose at x equal to x. So this you integrate over di lambda by I lambda to 0 to x, a lambda dx. If you do that, you get a very simple equation like I lambda x by I lambda 0 equal to e to the power minus a lambda x. So lambda is the radiation, a lambda is the factor that has been absorbed, right? And then you also know that monochromatic transmittivity, you know, from here, you know, you can really come up with the equation for monochromatic transmittivity is given as, say, tau lambda is equal to e to the power minus alpha lambda divided by h. So transmittivity is associated, alpha lambda is what? You know, tau lambda is the transmittivity, alpha lambda is the absorptivity. Together, you know, it is 1. And from there, you can replace this alpha lambda, you can replace this tau lambda in terms of the alpha lambda, and this you can get back into the absorption coefficient. Alpha is a measure of the absorption coefficient, whereas A is the monochromatic absorption coefficient at a particular wavelength, you know, how much is absorbed, right? So when you have a gas in between the two plates, again, things become a little bit more complicated because these gases, they absorb different types of radiations. Say, for example, I give you, say, water vapor has an absorptivity about 0.7 between the wavelengths 1.4 to 1.5 micron, and about 0.8 between 1.6 to 1.8 micron, and about 1 between 2.6 to 2.8 micron. So this is why it is happening, because water has a molecular architecture. It has a molecular, different types of, you know, molecular arrangement associated with its, you know, dipole moment, associated with its, you know, polarity. It has a different type of band gap, and that band gap is deciding what is the type of monochromatic radiation this vapor is absorbing, right? In order to make sure that, you know, there is a change in the intensity of the light which is incident upon. So it is going to heavily influence, see, the type of gas that you are putting in the middle. Say suppose it is water vapor, suppose it is oxygen, suppose it is now NOx, carbon dioxide, nitric oxides, nitrous oxides, all these gases, you know, they have different levels of absorptivities based on this Lambert-Beer's law. And then that is going to influence your calculation. So what is your job? Your job is very simple. Calculate the driving force, calculate the resistance, and from there you obtain the net heat loss or net heat gain. Okay. Now, as we were telling in the beginning, you had reflecting surfaces. You can also consider the transmitting surfaces. How are you considering the transmitting surfaces? Say suppose earlier when you are using a radiation shield, this is where you are thinking that you want to make this more of a reflecting surface. As many as I put in the middle, you know, what happens, you know, the resistance due to the view factor increases between these two. If I'm putting in, say suppose if I have only one, right? So what happens? I just have added one by epsilon 3, right? If I put n, what happens? I put n number of this in the denominator. So I can very easily see the heat flux between these two surfaces. Suppose this is the hot surface and this is the cold surface, right? Now, if I keep putting 1 by epsilon 3, 1 by epsilon 3, 1 by epsilon 3, 1 by epsilon 3, say n number of shields in the middle, then what will happen? Then I will see that the denominator is slowly becoming heavy, and as the denominator will become more heavier, what will happen? The heat flux will reduce. So this is a kind of radiation shield. So you are using reflecting surface in order to reduce the radiative effect between the two surfaces. Now the transmitting surfaces are for, like, transfer of energy from one surface to other. So if you have a transmitting surface in the middle, just like we were doing the calculation that you have two surfaces and in the middle you have air, or here you may think about, like, you have two surfaces inside. In this situation, you are considering this is to be entirely vacuum, and say suppose you have put a glass slide here. In that sort of situation, if I just forget about what is reflecting, so I can write that whatever is the absorbed and whatever is the transmitted is equal to 1 is equal to whatever is emitted and whatever is equal to transmitted. Now, if I bring that equation bring this particular formalism to the equation of radiosity, this is what is from surface 1, this is what is from surface 2, and then if I really calculate the heat transmitted from 1 to 2, this is the driving force, and this is the view factor resistance associated with what? This epsilon m. That means, here I have considered the transmittivity. So this is the way you take into account the transmittivity into the calculations of the radiosity. Okay, is that clear? Is it clear to all of you at this stage? I'm just increasing the level of complexity because until or unless all these complexities are seen together, you will not be able to really get the full picture. Now, once you have the full picture, say for a realistic system, you have to consider the reflection, you have to consider the transmission, you have to consider the absorption, you have to consider the emission, and from there you have to get the irradiation and the radiosity. Is there any confusion on this particular slide? Is there any confusion? Is it clear or not? Yeah. Clear, right? And now here you may see that there are different transmittivities that are given for different surfaces. Just study this, this will be something very interesting, right? So now I want to really calculate the radiation of an absorbing transmitting medium. Okay, the one that we had shown previously, this one. Sorry. This one, right? So in that, you may see that everything remains same, what we were doing. Only during the view factors, you may see that this correction that is associated with the transmission, which is 1 minus epsilon, that is coming as a correction to these view factor resistances. The rest remain to be the same. So here what you did, you just removed, you just earlier what you did, this was air. In this situation, this was air. In the resistance equation, this was air. You have two surfaces and in the middle you had air. So your equation, your circuit diagram looked like this. Your circuit diagram looked like this, right? Essentially, your circuit diagram looked like this, and this part was not there, right? In this sort of situation. Now, if you put a glass slide in the middle, how does the modification take place? You have to really add the transmission factor here in the resistance of the different resistances of the view factor. That is the only change that you are going to make. Everything else remains same. So these are the absorptions that you have already taken care of. And during the view factor, you can understand that this is saying this, but if you put a transparent medium in the middle, so this is not fully saying this, but this medium, because of its transmittance, it is allowing a part to go here. So that loss you are accounting in the form of introducing this epsilon m in the middle of these view factor resistances. Is that clear? Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great. Now, once that is done, you see that you can put multiple. You have one, like radiation shield, you had one. You may put multiple, and in multiple, you may have, say, suppose let us study this one, right? So suppose you have a surface 1, you have a surface 2. So, and you can see that this is flat, straight, but what is the correction? There is no correction here. There is no correction here. What is the correction between in this view factor? The transmission that has happened here, that is tau m, 1 minus epsilon m, and the transmission that has happened here, tau n, that is 1 minus epsilon n. That has gone to the denominator of this view factor. So that has increased the resistance in some way. Other thing remains same between these two. Now, the other factors that you have to consider, that now you have two different, emissivities of these two surfaces that is added. So I put those two, correct? Now this one is seeing this one is seeing this one. So you can see that the radiosity of this one is connected to this, and the radiosity of this one is connected to this. Same for this, the radiosity of this one is connected to that, and the radiosity of this one is connected to that, right? And based on the view factors, these are all view factors where you have corrected the view factors associated with the transmittance, okay? The transmittance or emission, right, which are correlated. Tau m plus tau n is tau m plus epsilon n equal to 1. So from there, if you put them, so this particular circuit diagram becomes very apparent that this is the emissive, this is the resistance of that particular surface due to its emission, and these are the different view factor resistances associated with the transmission of the surfaces, right? Yeah, circuit diagrams maybe just before the lecture on Saturday, Friday tutorial. I'll just quickly browse through, these, or maybe while doing the tutorials, we may just browse through this so that we just finish. I think there are 3-4 slides are remaining, which I could not complete because I wanted to go slow today. So, anyways, what I do, your syllabus for the quiz remains to be up to this slide 56. Okay. So up to slide 6, I'm not going to ask anything beyond this slide 56. Okay, slide 56 to slide 72 remains outside your syllabus. This will take up in the next lecture. Any question you have up to this point? Any question? Yeah.
Sir, in Viva, you will ask from the first lecture to the radiation.
No, after midsem, whatever we started up to midsem, what was the syllabus?
After the midsem.
Up to midsem, what was the syllabus?
So before natural convection. So before natural convection.
So natural convection is which lecture? 11, 12?
Yes, sir.
Midsem, after midsem, up to midsem, what was the syllabus? Up to 9, 10, no lecture, or 11, 12?
Sir, 9, 10.
So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, these 3 are the syllabus for the quiz 2. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
And in 15, 16, you have to go for 56 slides. You don't need to go to all the slides. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other question you have?
Yes, sir. So like 9 to 15, right? Like syllabus was?